familiar with correlations, especially with the phrase that correlation is not causation. For example, this correlation shows that a shortage of pirates caused global warming. So what exactly is a correlation? A correlation is basically when you look at the distribution of two variables and decide if they have a linear relationship. There are two parts to a correlation, a magnitude and a direction. The magnitude is the strength of the correlation, and it ranges from 0 to 1. A correlation of 0 means that the variables are completely unrelated, and a correlation of 1 means that they coincide perfectly. You also have the direction, either positive or negative. So a positive correlations, the two variables rise and fall together. The higher values are associated with higher values and lower values are associated with lower values. So for example, higher temperatures, more crime, more empathy, more prosocial behavior, lower temperatures, lower time spent outside. Negative is when high values on one variable are associated with low values on another variable. So you've got low temperatures and more snow, more absences, lower grades. The older a man gets, the less hair he has. So to do this, we need to use continuous variables. So, for example, this is a continuous variable because the numbers mean something. 6, more than 4 years, means more than 5, 2 to 4 years, or 1, 0 to 3 months. We couldn't do it on this because I arbitrarily chose that LDS singles ward would be 1, and 9 would be other. I could have switched any of these numbers and it wouldn't have changed anything about my data. So this is categorical, and you can't do a correlation on categorical. So I could do a correlation between what year did you get married and the length of your relationship, because both of those are continuous. The numbers here mean something. I couldn't do a correlation on something that where you met your spouse at Utah State or BYU or something using this one. That doesn't really make sense. The same applies to race or any other categorical variable. The only exception to this is that if you were to recode a variable to be dichotomous, like if we took out this prefer not to say and you just had males and females, then lower values would be associated with being male and higher values would be associated with being female. You could do it with white and non-white, or college educated, not college educated, whatever you wanted to do. If you feel like you want to do that, come talk to me or your current TA and we'll make sure that what you're doing makes sense. But that is a possibility if that's something that you feel like you need to do. All right, so how do you actually do a correlation in SPSS? Let's try and find a correlation between the length of time a participant knew their spouse before marriage and how long they dated. Let's run frequencies really fast. So analyze descriptive statistics frequencies. We'll say reset. And we'll go here. Control click this one to bring it over together. And OK. Brings it up. Looks like most people knew 50% of them knew their spouse for 0 to 3 months before dating, and then longer times of that, but it doesn't look like there's any weird data, so we can move on. So then we're going to go to correlate bivariate because we want to do a correlation between two variables, and put those in. Again, there are some options here. If you want to show the means and standard deviations, you can. I'm going to choose not to. We want Pearson, two-tailed, flag significant correlations. Paste that, come to my syntax, and run it. Now, in this table, it's a lot easier than the t-test table because all you need to do is Pearson correlation. How long did you know your spouse before dating? With how long did you know your spouse before dating? It's a 1 because they're the same. But how long did you know your spouse before dating? And then how long did you date your spouse has an R. R is the correlation coefficient of negative 0.088. So again, that's a negative correlation, meaning that the lower values on this are associated with higher values on this, or lower values on this with higher values on this. Doesn't matter which way, because there is no direction. Remember, correlation is not causation. However, this significance tells me that that one was non-significant because this p-value is greater than 0.05. So turns out my data doesn't tell me anything significant. You could also do it with, you would still do bivariate, but you could do it with any categorical variables. So how many committed relationships did you have? What year did you get married? Put in all those and paste it. And even though it's bivariate, you can do it with more than 2 variables. That just means that it's only going to do 2 at a time. So we've got this one with this one with that one. And if you see my data, all my p-values are non-significant, which is just sad. So again, I won't do my thesis. I hope that you have more significance than I do, and that everything goes well. If you have more questions, please come talk to me. I will answer any of your statistics questions that I can, but I hope that these tutorials have given you a good start to understanding SPSS and doing your own statistics.